Cruzita Marrero, muchas gracias. Thank you very much for agreeing to talk to me and do this, participate in this oral history project. Today is June 23rd,
Yes.
2015.
Yes.
Could you give us your full name, please?
Cruzita Marrero, maiden name is Santiago.
Okay.
That's my name.
Where were you born and where did you grow up?
I was born in Ay Bonito, Puerto Rico. Beautiful little city, nice and cool. And I was there till about maybe 7 years old, and then my family moved to New York City. So I was raised in New York City, and from there, life brought us here to Ohio. And that's where we've been.
What year did you move here?
We moved here in 1980. I think it was October 1980.
Okay. Did you go to Lorain specifically?
To Lorain specifically.
What brought you guys here?
Well, we had, my sister had moved out here years and years ago. So we used to come visit, spend some time, and we had 2 children that just loved it when they came out here with the freedom, and there was access to parks, and in New York we lived in an apartment building. We lived in a 4th-story building in the city of the Bronx. So we didn't have that. We wanted to go to the nearest park, we had to do a lot of driving, or to the nearest beach, we had to go quite a way. So when my kids came out here, they just didn't want to leave. So things happened in New York. My husband got ill. A lot of the neighborhood was getting very, very bad. So my husband was a student of the ministry. So we felt we were led by God to just leave there, and for safety reasons. So we did. We moved out here, and then we found the kids really enjoy the freedom. We hated the quietness. Yes, we needed the noise and the trains and all this stuff. I remember the first year we were here, we went back to New York 3 times just to visit family, and because we just were homesick. But after that, we're so used to it now that when we go back there, we just go visit and see the sights and remembering things, but we miss this place. Yeah. It grew on us.
Yeah. Your husband is Puerto Rican also?
You see, yes, he is.
What traditions have you tried to continue with your children here in Ohio?
We've tried to keep all the traditions because we have family in Puerto Rico. There's my kids have grandparents and the aunts and uncles and cousins that don't speak English. So we try to keep them with the language, and the fiestas, los reyes, the music, the folkloric music. We try to keep that alive. The food, I cook the Spanish food. As a matter of fact, we do it for fundraising, and just the richness of our culture and the beauty of the island. Our kids love it. They it's too bad that we cannot go over there as often as we would like, but they do. They have a rich connection with the family in Puerto Rico, and they're able to talk on the phone with them in español, decirle cómo está, things like that. And that's good. I know some of other family members that have not kept this up, and it's kind of, when they visit the island, it's kind of awkward, But we're very proud of our Hispanic heritage, being Puertorriqueño and keeping the culture
and the
language. Yes.
What are some of your first memories of moving here and raising your family?
Yeah. Well, moving here was traumatic for me. I was a child I was 7. I remember that I was going to go to 2nd grade. And when circumstances led my family to make that decision. And I remember that my brother said, we're going to go on an airplane. And that was exciting, you know. So we did. And I remember getting to New York City, and, you know, it's impressive. You know, the whole big airport, and you know, to this I remember like being in awe, you know, because I had never gone on an airplane. I've been traveled out of Ay Bonito, Puerto Rico. So, and then I heard this talk, and I couldn't understand, you know. And I was my brother, you know, I don't understand what they're saying. And he says, well, that's English. They speak English here. And my brother had very little, because he was in the army, so he knew a little bit of how to communicate. But we got here, and I remember climbing all those steps in that building. It was a 6-story apartment building on the top floor. You know, and it was endless. You know, those stairs. I don't know if you've ever, you know, done that. But we finally got up there, and it was good. My sisters were there, and I was the youngest. I was the little one, and you know, they said, we're going to take you out. Okay, so that was summer, so it was fun, because we went to the parks and we went out, and now when school time came, that was a different story. They took me to school, and I was the only Hispanic child in that school. So everybody's, you know, and you hear this. I heard this boom, you know, and I felt very, very insecure and sort of out of place. I wanted to go back. I didn't want to stay there, you know. And people would be talking to me, and I remember the teacher telling me things, and since I didn't know what she was saying, she would take me out of the office, out of the classroom, and take me to there, and I would sit there, and there was no bilingual classes in those days. So it was a very dramatic experience for me, but that sort of turned my life around. That made me sympathize with people that come here and don't speak the language. That made me say, wow, you know, I'm a child, I don't understand, but I learned quickly. I learned real quick. Before I knew, I was doing the gibberish that others were saying, you know, and I was able to understand. But that shaped me to being an ESL teacher, being an English as a second language, and wanting to translate and not losing my language. So even though I came as a child, that usually you forget. I know. You know, my mom also made it a point. No, you don't never lose your Spanish, because I need you. She couldn't speak English. Neither did any of my brothers and sisters. So we need you to stay with the language, you know. And my mother was very wise in saying, you're going to need it someday. You're going to need it someday. So even though at one point, you know, you always rebel, you know, I don't want everybody speaking English, and I don't want to be Spanish. But with my mom, there, no, you speak Spanish to me, you know, that kind of stuff. So that's sort of how it was for me when I was a child, and being small always caused a problem. I had to fight most of the time because I got picked on. But
was it a similar experience for your children growing up here in Lorain?
No, because my children were born in New York City. So when they knew the language. They knew more Spanish in New York than when we got here. There was not many. In schools, there was, you know, he didn't speak Spanish. So my youngest son, Kenny, he lost a lot of it because he was younger. But my oldest son, Ricky, he speaks fluent Spanish and English. So for them, they didn't have a problem. You know, they were able to manage real well. So, yeah.
You mentioned already sort of your first impression of coming to Ohio. How did you make Ohio your home? Like, what were some of the things that that finally made you see Ohio as this place where you were going to raise your family?
Yeah, well, it grew on me, and seeing how the kids they adjusted, you know, because they had the freedom that we didn't have in New York. You know, for the first time we lived in ground level, we're always like birds up in buildings. So they had that freedom to get up in the morning, and we lived in a townhouse right up on Seneca and 42nd Street. That's those townhouses there, and it was like a little house. So these birds, squirrels, they adjusted real quick, and seeing them, growing up, with the fresh air and running around, it sort of grew on us too, because my husband was able to plant a little garden that reminds him of Puerto Rico, growing his little vegetables in front of the thing, and it grew on us, and we stayed. Mm-hmm. And and the fact that he was in the ministry, mm-hmm. when we came to a church, the Disciples of Christ congregation, a small Spanish church that we sort of were, adopted. Mm-hmm. My kids and my husband and I, and my husband at this time was ill. He had seizures and things like that. So he was received and welcomed. And we got so much love from those people that, it was incredible. So the calling of the ministry kept us here. There was many occasions that presented themselves for us to go elsewhere. I was blessed with being able to play a little music and to compose music, and there's always a need of that in churches. There's a lack of it. So I was sort of invited and tempted, to, hey, we need, this. We have a ministry here that you could get to flourish, and but it would mean I would have to leave. But we've always done things on prayer. We don't make a move unless we are sure that God is going to bless. So many of those occasions were just not done, and we stayed here and we involved with the community. We want to see this community be what it used to be when I first came. Yeah. It was booming,
So what changes have you seen, like from when you came?
When first came?
And then maybe the years after.
Yeah, I saw a lot of businesses just leave. We saw the mill lose so many workers, stores closing, unemployment. We began to see some of the signs that from where we used to live, with a little bit gang activity, with the youth having nothing to do. That's what we saw, and even till this day, we still see some of the homes that are dilapidated and abandoned. But see, what that has done for us is to make us want to stay even more and get involved, and try to change things. So that's what we're seeing.
Is your husband a pastor or minister?
Well, he's retired. Actually, he helps me. The tables have turned. Okay. He was the minister for 13 years. But I guess with his illness and so he had to step down. At that time, everybody thought that I would, the pastor's wife, but I didn't think I was the one called to do this. So I didn't want. I said, I'm a worship leader. I like praise. I'm not a minister. So I resisted that for a while. So we were in another church doing ministry, doing worship, and for 8 years we were in that church. And God sort of made a calling to me. You're going to be. I want you, and I resisted that. I know it can't be me. There's one minister in this home, and it's my husband, and he's retired. Though we haven't retired from working for God. He's retired from being on the platform and on the altar. But it happened. It happened in 2007 when we started getting this call from a church that lost their pastor, and they wanted me to step in there, and that's what I did in God's name. So that's where I've been. So my husband is my assistant. As me being the minister there.
Is it a Spanish?
Yes, it is.
Church?
Sí, se llama El Faro, Misión Cristiana El Faro, Discípulos de Cristo.
Tell me about your involvement with the community and your church.
I got involved with the community with El Centro de Servicios Sociales. They were starting a program. What I like to do, teach English, and they started a family reading program. So they asked me, to if I wanted to get involved, and I did. So we started teaching adults that had no English skills. Some of them had no literacy skills at all. So we got involved with that and with the welfare program, and that was in, I think, in 1990, around that time. And from there, I met Mike Ferrer, and he had a program called STEP, and as I forgot what the words mean, but it's a theater enrichment program for the youth. And just what I had in my heart, all these kids doing nothing, just hanging around, getting into mischief. This program took them off the streets, 42 kids, and they would work with them all summer and teach them writing skills, anything that had to do with theater. And they would, if they completed the program, they would get paid. If not, they wouldn't. So, I respected Mike Ferrer for gathering all these at-risk kids, and then I was their counselor. I had to fill out their paperwork, and these tough kids in front of me, they just wanted the money that sounded okay, but they had to do something in order to achieve it. So that's how I got involved with the community. Then from that blossomed into family and youth, just involving the whole family and using the kids' knowledge of English to help their parents learn English, and in turn the parents trying to keep the kids with some Spanish skills. So it was an all win-win situation. So I got involved with that. I was 13 years with El Centro working with the community, and then I got involved with the Salvation Army, and I was asked to be their teacher for the ESL program. And I had migrants as students from Mexico. That was the majority of the class. There were people just coming from Mexico, and then they wanted to learn English. And beautiful experience of these people. I still see them in the street, and they just, maestra, so that's, and I've kept it, even though the program was over. I couldn't do both. It was either the ministry or this. And I try to do both, but it wasn't doable. So with the ministry, I try to keep it with the community. My group, we're a mission, and we're housed in a Christian church, Christian temple right here in Lorain, right around the corner. And we're small, but because we like to get out there. We like to bring services to homes, people that can't go to church on Sunday because of some condition or something. So we try to bring it to them. We try to bring dramas out to the community, and connect Christianity to community. And that's what we still try to do. People like Tim Carrion and Angel Arroyo, all these wonderful Hispanic leaders that I saw grow. And so, I just pray for health, that I can be able to keep up with them.
You said, sorry.
Okay.
There was something you said, and I wanted to ask you. It's not very common to see women in leadership roles within the church, like the type of leadership that you have.
Right.
The pastor of your church, right? Especially Hispanic churches, it's less common, right? So I wanted to ask you about that. Was it easy to be accepted, to grow your congregation, or to lead your congregation as a woman in this role?
It's still a challenge. It's as you say, the congregation that I went to after my husband was not able to continue minister of the church, had different agenda when it comes to women in the church. And but since I was not interested or didn't feel that I would be in a pastor's position, I was totally okay. I was a worship leader. I led the drama team. We did productions, and it was Ginger Peachy. It was great. And my husband was in the congregation. He would help the pastor now and then. So, and he was cared for by the men there. That was my concern mostly, that he would be comfortable. He never learned English real well. So we had my goal was to have a place of worship that he could understand, and that there were men there that would sort of put their arm around him and make him feel good. So I found that there for him, and I was totally okay until I got the calling for ministry. And I remember speaking to a couple of the pastors at the other church, and well, that's not what they do. Women do not in that particular synod. They don't. They can't do that. And I said, well, okay. Then in my heart, it's like, this is, okay. I thought I was wrong, but of course you can't change an established place. So anyway, when I was called to that, the good thing is about building relationships. I always say, you build a relationship, you show people who you are and what you're about and where your heart is. You can change people's view. When the leader, the regional minister of the Christian church in Ohio, came and talked to me, and he said, we want you to do this, and that came up, because there are not many women ministers, as you said. So and he said, you have our respect, and you have our prayers, and you have our support. So I started this, and and first Sunday I had about maybe 3 or 4 people in the congregation, including my husband and my sons. So, but and that's how it was. There was a man there that was a minister that left, and but I always try just to let God do. Let God do. I said, if this is, that was my thing. If God called me to do this, it's going to happen. All doors are going to be open. When I go to meetings, they're practically all men, and I know, and they look at me, but it's different. Things have changed somewhat. Things have changed. When I walk in, they greet me and they hello, and then I'm always, they always have to come down to me, and I say, see, now you got to bow down, because but it wasn't easy, and it's still a challenge, because there's still places you go and they don't particularly want you involved. But a special blessing came in 2009, I think it was, that President Obama was going to come to Lorain County, and there was going to be a community forum to ask the president questions, and that was a big thing, So one day I got a call from I think it was Dina Ferrer. She called me and she said, the president has requested a woman to give the invocation. I said, you're in that list. And I said, oh. He said, well, if do you allow yourself to be in that list, or you want me to take you out? And I said, leave it there. I'm not going to be chosen anyway, but just leave my name there. It looked good, my name was one of the, but and then a few days, I got a call. I remember that I was in the doctor's office with my husband, and I used to keep my phone in silencer, and the phone rang, and I picked it up, and it was a little staticky, but they said, is this Pastor Marrero? And I said, yes. And they said, this is, I understood that they said, this is the lighthouse.
Oh, the lighthouse?
Yeah, I understood, this is the lighthouse, we want to, and I said, oh, okay, because there is a lighthouse church here, there is a big church. So, okay, how can I help you? And I said, Well, we want you to get online and take down this number, this email. I was in the doctor's office. I didn't have anything, and I said, well, listen, I'm not home. I will get back to you. I will answer this phone, at least that's my cell phone. And so you're the Lighthouse? And he says, no, this is the White House.
Oh my goodness.
and I said, the White House? Yes, and I said, oh, okay. And I said, I apologize. There is a Lighthouse Church here. I explained to the young lady. And he says, well, no, just real quick. It's because you've been selected to give the invocational prayer at the president's visit at Lorain County. And I want to get some information from you. So if you give me your email, I will email you the information. And I was like, okay. Sort of, kind of. But that's how that happened. And then I said, well, there are a lot of other women, in different, there's, and sisters that are in the ministry in the Catholic Church. There's men that could have done, I was just recently in the ministry at 3 years. But that happened, and I was able to do that in God's name, and I became famous. No, I had that little moment it was exciting, just to meet the president and to be in that position, and I thank God for it, because that's just things that come. God has a sense of humor, because I don't like to be in front of people. I am shy.
And there you were.
And there we were.
On TV too, probably.
Yes.
Yes. Do you have this on recording?
I think the college has it, and they send me pictures. The podium was so high that you only can see this part of me. So, but they did take a picture and they mailed it to me, and the paper made a write-up and they make a big deal of it, and it was a little highlight in my life.
Just one last question. From all of your years living here and your experience working with different groups in the community, what do you think is urgent for Lorain to do in terms of maybe the Latino community or the immigrant community? How do you feel Lorain can move forward and thrive to those years that you mentioned, where there was more businesses, where there was maybe more community togetherness? How, in your view and your experience, do you see that happening here?
Yeah, we need to bring that back. We need to bring that back, and unfortunately, we had some leadership from the top that were just, I don't say that they did a bad job. I'm saying that they quite didn't touch the heart of the Hispanic community. We need to bring that back, being love of community, pride in our community, and I don't know how to do it, but I think with just the getting God back into the picture, getting more faith-based, community-minded leaders in the community. It's awesome. People like Tim Carrion and Angel Arroyo and all these, and their parents, their fathers that had such roots here, because these guys have a new vision. They have love of culture, but also love of all cultures. And this is like a big apple here. There's all different cultures. I don't have the answers how we can do it, but I think that just like sitting back and woe is me is not. I like to get out there. My son Kenny, he's always out there promoting the city, trying to bring movies out here into this community, making people feel proud, because there's such beauty around us. We've had my son and our church. We were able to bring 3 films to be filmed out here, and we've been able to get people from the community involved as extras, getting the church involved in the community. We had the last film that was done here was just a couple of weeks ago. It's called My Blind Brother, in which my son is a part of, and we opened the church, First Congregational Church, to host these people and to have them there. They had their station there, and from there they went out into the community. So the church involvement with the growth, and this brings money, this brings attention, this brings jobs to the city, and not so much that is the pride. We have a place that Hollywood is looking at. The lady that wrote this production is from England, and she was looking for places to film. LA is very expensive, as we know. Okay, so looking out of, somehow she saw our website. She saw Kenny's name in there, and they connected with us. And we said, sure enough, we'll host you. You come see this place. We have a beautiful lake, beautiful city hall. We have beautiful places that you can film, and we will welcome you. And it was wonderful. From the police department, Sal Rivera, and their officers, to the churches, and even here to LCC, we were all over this area a few weeks ago with movie cameras and people watching and being entertained, filming. That's what we need, to take pride in what we got and let other people see it. So from that, there's another film company that saw, and they're connecting with us to do the same. So Kenny is a site provider. He just takes them, he takes them to the place, speaks to everybody, says, hey, there's an opportunity to bring recognition and pride to our city. So that's our little end right there.
That's great. That's great. Is there anything else you would like to add to this interview?
Right now we're in the process of building it's called Alfaro Ministries Performance Center, and that's in the heart of South Lorain, where I've been for years, and when my kids grew up. We need something like that there. We've been able to get the lot with a dilapidated home. We were able to tear that house down, demolish it. Now we have the lot. Now what we need is to get it going and get people to get involved. And donations and workers, and get people connected. This is what we want to do here for our youth and families, and to have a holistic program where we can work with the youth with their mind, body, and soul, and we're able to let them know you're a masterpiece, and and you're in there. So we want to bring it out. So that's what we're trying to do, and we need your prayers.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this interview.
Thank you.